If you've ever wondered whether cold calling is dead or alive, then you've tuned into the perfect episode of Rookie and the Closer, where I'm the rookie and my co host Maddie is the closer. And today we have a very special guest with us. She's the VP of Sales Development at Silverfort. She's the author of Prospect Like a Girl, and she's an absolute gangster. Kelly Lichtenberger, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to talk to you both. And it's going to be a fun episode. And especially, again, the absolute gangster. That's my new favorite. That's my title.
Streets have
Moving
spoken.
forward.
Yeah. David's my fountain of youth these days, for sure, keeping me young. Yeah. I think
Love
he
it.
said something to me like, I mean, there's, GOAT has been around for a while. And then it reminds me of I'm a Saturday Night Live girl. There's an episode where it's like chopped. And like, there's like so, like, I'm like, what is anyone saying? But all the good ones about you, Kelly.
I love it.
I will say, I don't know if I'm the best fountain of youth because I'm 31, but I'll take it.
That's the fountain of
Hey.
youth. I promise.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, 40 is the new 30 from what I've heard. And to all my friends in Manhattan, 40's, 50 is the new 40. Like it's like we keep moving the finish line on ourselves, I think. Which is good. Which is good.
Well, good. Keep going.
Only thing you can do, right?
Yeah,
That's right.
life is long. And that's a lot of what we're so excited to talk to you about, Kelly, because you've had an incredible career, but you also have a hand in so many other people's careers that you've managed, over time, that you've hired. When we were prepping for this, we talked a lot about, getting into sales. What do you look for in someone? And then, obviously I'm a huge fan of anyone that's had the guts to actually publish a book. I think I've shown this before, but these are my chapters that I'm currently writing. So I will be coming to you for advice to actually get these
Please
out into the
do.
world, because now you're like a fractional sales manager for millions of people that are going to read your book. So helping
Yeah, I'm
everybody.
sure. That's right. Yes, it's been a long career, and I absolutely it's one of the reasons I stayed in the SDR realm. I absolutely love helping people break those doors open to get into sales. People talk about it, but it's not as easy as people think, and there's some things that can stop you from being the best in your actual at your craft. And so SDRs are a great way to start and learn all the foundational aspects of truly being an amazing seller. And I absolutely love it, and seeing where the people that have worked for me, where they've ended up, it's great.
Yeah. Seeing people that you hire people, I think is like one of the best feelings ever.
It
And
is.
for anyone who we're in tech, right? So it's an acronym minefield. We talk a lot about BDR, business development representative, SDR, sales development representative. So if anyone out there is like, what even are some jobs that are available? You go to Gemini, SDR, BDR, they're pretty much the same thing. And just like a little bit of a dog whistle. If you see representative or administrator, you're probably in the right place if you're starting out. So those are the jobs that you're going to be looking for. But I took notes. I think, David, you've been diving into the book, and I know you
Yeah.
told me just the other day that like it's 3 chapters in has already changed your day to day. So let's give Kelly some
Yeah.
flowers. Let's promote this book. What's changed since you started to read it?
Yeah, so if we could backpedal maybe a little bit, and it kind of has to do with what I read in the book.
Yeah.
Kelly, maybe you could start us off by telling us like maybe what your first sales job was and kind of why you got into sales in the first place.
You bet. So yeah, I growing up, and I'll date myself here when we talk about age. I started my like looking at what I wanted to do in the 80s, and 80s was all about the things. So I'd see the Porsche, or the mega mansions, or all of those things. And at that time, a mega mansion for me in my neighborhood was just probably a 4-bedroom house. I don't know. I thought that was massive. And so anyway, all of that was just, what do they do? And every time I asked somebody, it was sales of some sort. Sales, sales, sales. well, I got to do sales. And then I would ask people, well, why is sales hard? And they would say, because people say no to you all the time. They can get mad at you. And also back in the 80s, it wasn't, we weren't such an HR friendly world. So when people wanted to tell you how they felt, they did it in ways that probably wouldn't have your job these days. You'd be shown the door. So I was like, well, what do I have to do to not have that affect me and not get upset? Well, I better try it. So I started thinking about the different types of sales jobs that I could do to get comfortable. And there was an opening at a encyclopedia company. So I was going to do door-to-door sales. So that's what I signed up for. And man, what an adventure that was. We went all around the country. So I hadn't left my small town. And when you got to where you were going, you would be in a car maybe with 5 or 6 people, and you would see a neighborhood with all kinds of toys, and you would jump out of a moving car. I'm not kidding. And as you're like perpetuating yourself,
rolling with an encyclopedia in your backpack, like
correct. Oh, you're carrying them. You got a bag, not all of them, but a big bag. And then they would yell out, if you win the neighborhood, they would say, okay, meet us back at the 7-Eleven, at 10 o'clock tonight. That was it. Like, I hope I remember how to get there. And you didn't have phones. I don't know, 3 streets back. I'll figure it out. So, and then you would get there at dinner time. So I started doing this in the summertime. And the first year I ended up winning. Throughout the world. So I got to go to Rome to accept my gift. It was amazing. Then I was like, well, I'm
how old
doing
were you?
This every time. 17.
Girl. Oh my god.
Yeah. Can you imagine now sending anyone out? Like, I wouldn't do it at my age, go door to door. Like, let her, like, nope.
Yeah, even the Girl Scouts learned to post up outside the grocery store. Like.
It's so crazy. So yeah, and then I wanted to do it again, and so I did, and was crushing it again. And I knew that I had conquered my fear when I went to this one door, and the man was so mad because we went at dinner time, and he was scathing. He starts yelling at me, screaming at me, and literally the spit was hitting my face, and I was like, "Not today, Satan." So anyway, he slams the door. I then proceeded to his back door, knocked on that. He was even more mad. And I said, thank God, a smiling face. Guy at the front door. And then I called my parents and said, all right, I think I'm good. I was in Virginia. And I said, send me home. I got this. And that was that. And went and picked up my next award in Italy again. But then left and went into technology sales.
Wow. So question, how, when you were knocking on those first few doors, I would imagine it's somewhat similar to making your first few cold calls, obviously a lot harder than calling. How important was like that why that you were telling us you got into sales? Like, was that kind of something you were clinging on when people were slamming doors in your face?
So at first, you take it, you bow your head, you walk away. You just think, I'm never going to get this. I don't even have a chance. And then what you realize is when you finally do get somebody that answers the door, you know what? The other doors that slammed it, the difference here is when I'm just talking it doesn't matter if I sell them anything. I'm actually just, showing them these books. And there were a lot of people I didn't sell them to. I realized it wasn't a fit, so I would say, the library has a copy of these that you could go use. And so you start realizing, wait a minute, if I stop actually trying to sell anything and meet them where they're at, I'm going to have a much better time at this. So what I mean also is it was summer. It was so hot outside. I was dressed. I had the bag of books, and they'd go to, be angry at me or slam the door or say like, oh, I'm going to call the police. And I would say back, you know what? That would be great, because I'm sure in the police car they have AC. You know what? I'm not here to sell you anything today. Let's talk about if you even need these. I'm not sure, but I promise you, if you don't need them, no big deal. I bet you might even have a fan for me. So it changed the dynamic. And then they were like, okay, settle down. Right. All right. So yeah, it's mindset. I'm not going in anymore to the high pressure. Let's just see if this works. Let's just have a conversation. Is this even something that's a problem for you? And it may not be.
Yeah, I
I
feel
think
like
that's
oh, go ahead, David.
I was going to say, I think that's the perfect time for me to answer Maddie's question from earlier. I actually texted her the other day saying, Maddie, I'm only on page 57 of the book, and I already like feel the difference in the way I'm prospecting, because I will say, like, I'm very guilty of, pushing for the meeting and being like more on the aggressive side, more on the direct side. And what I noticed is, normally like when I get like the email objection, I still try to handle it and get them into the meeting. But obviously there's those people that still just want to see an email first. And now I feel like since I started reading your book, I'm creating much better follow-ups off those, because I'm having like a much longer conversation with them about what they're actually looking for. And sometimes even like disqualifying them on the spot and not even having to follow up with them. So that's the
Music to
difference
my
I've
ears.
seen from only 57 pages.
Yay!
Yeah,
That's awesome.
exactly what I was gonna say. I wrote here, I what I'm learning, even now in my, I've been selling for over a decade. Really, what we're doing is qualifying opportunities.
Yep.
We're getting as many conversations as we can, and my manager says that I'm especially good at this. It's if someone's not a good fit, God bless you. I will keep you in my name in Salesforce, and you will inbound eventually, because I wouldn't have called you in the first place if I didn't think you were a good fit, right?
Correct.
But I'm not going to spin my wheels on someone that's not ready to rock and roll. When I smell blood in the water, everything else falls away.
Yes.
And that's when it goes from an opportunity to a deal. I'm working a deal. We have somebody here that is real, that this is, and I'm on the enterprise side. This is budgeted. We've passed IT. Like, there are all these gates you have to go through. And I
Yes.
feel like it helps you also to be more inquisitive and ask those good questions and get to know people and build that rapport. Because, if you get to like the mecca of selling, you get somebody that's selling back to you. They're telling you why they need your product. When you go in to meet with your boss next week and you present this to them, what are you going to say? What does that look like? Can I help with any collateral? Oh, I'm going to tell them that if they don't buy this, I'm quitting. So what I'm hearing is, if this was just up to you, you would sign the contract today. Yes. That's where you
great.
eventually want to get to. But it can be really scary at the beginning, because what are you going to do? Go into your boss's office and say, I had 5 discovery calls this week and they were all bunk? And it's like, so you have to kind of find a way. How do you coach people on that, Kelly? On like the don't inflate your pipeline because you're scared, but
Yeah.
don't miss out on an at bat. Like, where's that balance?
So I tell everybody when they come in, because people want to delay getting on the phone. Oh, I'm not ready. I need all the product knowledge. I need everything.
Yeah.
And I need to research. I need the knowledge. And what happens is, then there's the very first line is, some objection, boom, and no matter how long you've studied, the person, what you want to say, it's all gone. It's out the window.
Yep.
So I think about it like a snowman. So you have a small head, medium-sized body, the biggest base.
Big old
And
butt.
at the very top is when you're starting. And that's a novice. The only thing you have in your bag of tricks is the ability to ask questions, because I don't know how to answer any. So that's it. And then in the middle of the snowman, this is where you become an expert. You've been there maybe a year and a half, maybe 2 years. I've been to trade
Not
shows. I
3
know what
months,
they're going to say.
kids. Not
Correct.
a year and a half.
Correct. And you're just, boom, 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 answering the questions. Got you. But what you want to get to is the professional. So the professional is, they've got the knowledge of the product, but they still act like the novice and ask those questions. So that's where you need to get to. Too many times a question comes out, you know the answer, and again, we become an expert and we're happy to answer the question. So does your product do this? Boom, yep. Well, what do? You block yourself into a corner. I have no idea. Why did they ask me that question?
Why
Did a
do that?
competitor say that I can't do that? Are they looking at that? Did their boss tell them to look at that? Did they read about it? I don't know where we're going with this, and I don't want to stop the conversation, so go back to the novice. Sounds like that's something that might be important to you. Tell me a little bit more. Anything. Let's keep going, and then I'll get you that answer. So I like to do at least 3 hits before I'm just given the answer. Let's find out. Let's dig in a little bit more to that.
I love that. I might have said this already in another episode, but there's a great example that I've heard where, someone's trying to rent their house out as an Airbnb, and they get a phone call, and the person says, "Hey, do you have a pool?" And they go, "Oh yeah. Oh, gorgeous pool. You're going to love it. It's the best pool you've ever seen in your life." Click, hang up.
Yeah.
Hey, next person, "Hey, do you have a pool? Why do you ask?" "Well, I have 3 young children, and we love a pool, but we're a little bit nervous." "Oh, we have a pool fence. It's a keypad lock. So, the pool's great, but the most important thing is that your children will be safe." Right? Mm-hmm. So, if you don't understand why someone's asking the question, and that, not to go down this path completely, it can be difficult as a salesperson to maintain your integrity, because you're like, I want to give you the answer that you want so badly. And you can feel a little creepy almost. But I think just even giving yourself, I think of it as ping pong. So if someone asks, get a question, give a question, get a question, give a question. So if someone asks you a question, have an easy kind of fluff question that'll get them to keep talking so you can figure out what the fuck you're going to say. So it's like, "Hey, so do you guys have an integration with our HRIS system?" "Yeah, we have an open API. What does integration mean to you? What are you looking for? What made you ask that question?" Right? And then you can kind of give yourself some breathing room.
Yeah, that's my, in the book I even talk about it, be interested, not interesting.
Yeah.
So when you're interested, you're listening, interesting, then I'm just doing all the talking. So really stopping. And that's also key, because that's where the emotional intelligence comes in to play. You have to actually hear what they're saying. Let me back up. You actually have to hear for what they're not saying when it comes to sales.
Amen.
So if you are just talking or thinking about my next question I have to ask, or you're writing down, or you're, "Oh my God, they're talking to me, I just got to keep going," you're going to miss all of the nuggets that keep the game of ping pong going until we have a winner.
Wow.
Yeah. I try to take my hands off the keyboard. I was so bad at one time, I had a colleague of mine say, "I think that when the prospect's talking, you need to mute yourself." Because I'm a professional interrupter.
So Kelly, the book Prospect Like a Girl, is that only for girls? And also, what kind of got you to start writing the book?
All great questions. I love that, and I thank you for asking. It's not. The reason I named it Prospect Like a Girl is it's really interesting to me that in 2026, women still a lot of times stop themselves from going into a career in sales, especially in technology sales. They may want to pivot, they may be interested, but they don't think they'll have a chance because their resume won't show anything leading up to that. So they actually take themselves out of the job market for sales. So for me, when I started looking further and further, there's hundreds of schools now, well, over 100, that are doing actual degreed programs in sales throughout the country. And there's a few that are even doing master's degrees, one of them being where I graduated from, which was Bentley. And at Bentley University, I'd taken a great interest in when I would see the number of women that were in their sales program, it was shocking to me. Again, still so many more men than women. And they say that, men will apply for the job even if they don't have all of the criteria, when it's like they could have 67% of what's needed. Women, they want to have in the high 80s before they even consider themselves eligible to apply. And men will say, "I'll just do it." So it was, for me, I've always wanted to write a book in this space, again, for people starting their careers in sales development. And like Maddie, I had stuff all over. I had started it several times, didn't stop, press play, then again, hands off. And then I said, I just need to do it. So it was one of those things that I really wanted to finish and to put my stamp on and say I did it. And as I was going through all of this, really the theme that kept being there throughout in different chapters about the tarnished mirror and things like that you'll read about, it was all coming back to, we really needed to be able to open this to people that didn't think they could have a career here. So prospect like a girl, because at the end of the day, the women that get in, they're actually 11% more successful. And why is that? Because they actually, it's not that they have all of a sudden all the knowledge and skills, they actually doubt themselves more. So they naturally ask more questions. Again, the emotional intelligence. So that's where it became prospect like a girl. So for all you men out there that want a new look at sales, this is also for you, because it's teaching you again to stop for a minute, make sure you're asking those questions, a new approach.
Wow.
I love that.
And what advice would you give to maybe a girl out there she's kind of thinking about sales, but maybe she's getting pressure from her family and friends saying, oh, maybe you should go into like maybe a more female dominated profession, nursing, marketing, something like that, but she kind of feels like she has that burning desire for sales and wants to give it a try?
Yeah, talk to 21-year-old me, please.
Yeah.
My mom was like, it's too hard.
You know, here's the thing. I don't know anymore if women should ever doubt trying something. It's really important that if they have a desire, why not try it? And if it doesn't work, great, go try something else. But don't wait your whole life, because there is such a great path that this opens doors in every single industry out there. So even teaching, oh, that's so different. No, it's not different. You're just selling to you might be, say you're a third grade teacher. You're just selling to third graders. High school, I'd say that's a hard sale to get them paying attention to you. There's so much you can learn from this. And I think that if you really sat down, we're selling all the time. So we were talking before about Girl Scouts or even outside the grocery store. You're selling from a young age. We need money for these sports now. It's not just like these teams are expensive as heck. I don't have any of my own children, but my nieces and nephews, these travel teams,
So expensive.
so you better, there's a lot more sales involved in there.
Hockey's a rich kid.
Like the
sport.
most expensive, and now
Yeah.
if I played hockey now, like I was a kid now, I don't even think I would have been able to play because it's so expensive. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
so you got get out there and sell.
Boosters,
Yeah.
selling candy bars. My husband knows if someone knocks on the front door and they're under the age of 20, I want to hear the pitch.
Yes.
And I'm probably going to buy that magazine subscription. You know what I mean? Because it just takes so much bravery to
Good.
do. Yeah, I think for me, like when I came up in sales, there was room for one of us, right? So it was the boys club, and then I was the girl. I was the man, but I was the girl. I was the only woman at President's Club. I was the only girl out at the bar. And now I think it's almost becoming like a girls club, where it's like we have all these girls that are like, no, I can do it. And like, might be a hot take, but I feel like sales is such an incredible career that I honestly can't believe is a job. I get to sit here in my office, chat with people, see if I can help them, write some stuff down. Like, it's like, I'm not roofing, I'm not selling encyclopedias door to door. So try it. And then if you like it and you're good at it, stick with it. And if not, you at least can say, I did something really, really hard. And maybe then you move into customer success or implementation or support or, enablement. Like just because you don't love carrying a quota doesn't mean that you can't be in tech. But who are they going to hire into tech with no experience? BDRs and SDRs. You're not going to get a job as an onboarder with no tech experience. But you can get your foot in the door and prove that you're smart and meet the right people.
So many people. And, organizations these days, there's another whole play here that organizations get, acquired by other bigger organizations, and the opportunities then just start multiplying. And it's something that people don't even realize is another part that is so exciting. And I want to just jump in here because I think it's important, because now there's that people are hearing that thing going, oh, well, I don't want to do sales because AI is going to take over. AI, nobody's going to be on the phone. So the career is dead. And for me, it's my favorite thing to hear. So everybody else go away, because if you go away, my phone call gets through, is what I always say. And it's also a skill set, and it's not going away. What it will do is it's going to change, though. You're going to be AI will allow you a success path that we didn't have before, because a lot of your research is done very quickly, industry information very quickly. You can have your pitch down, you can have the information you need. But okay, so when I started, again, I'll do my age thing. When I started my career, there was no such thing as www. We didn't have email. Okay, didn't have that. So when email came out, I was told, oh, we're never going to have the phone again. We're just going to email people. I was like, that's cool. No. As a matter of fact, and then here we are in the world, everybody gets too many emails, again, back to the call, right? I have a better chance at that. So this stuff the movie plays, it just changes. And I'm telling you, throughout, this role is there. And any company that has totally switched over, I've already seen them come back the other way. Personal and professional life. I know when I'm on the phone and it's a bot. And now I'm screaming,
Person! Operator! Yeah.
Things I didn't think I'd say in my life like that out loud. Amen. But yes. That's what so this leaves an incredible career for people that actually become skilled. So actually, it's even it's a greater time to consider getting into this, because when everybody's run away and thinks that they can't have this career, those that become skilled in it, to the moon.
Yeah. And for people like me, who I'm not a paperwork person, like I've heard a lot in my career that sales there's an art and there's a science. I'm not so much on the science side. I'm not diving into my stats and optimizing my conversion rates and A/B testing my emails. Like, I'm a talker. I get on the phone. I learn about people in 2 minutes. I was a bridesmaid in a wedding of someone who I sold to. So like that's my superpower. And I'm now at almost 40 years old. I'm not trying to be someone that I'm not. Right. But I thank God for AI. Pasting a transcript and writing an email for me? Get out. It took all the parts of sales that weren't fun and made it easy and efficient for me. So now I can truly focus on what I love, which is talking to people and fitting my product into their world, and something that I'm working on, there's no finish line. I want to get way better at mapping organizations. That's easier than it's ever been before. Hey,
correct.
Go to LinkedIn, tell me who this person reports to, tell me where they've worked before. Here's a list that I've given you historically of everyone that is in a position at a company that already works with us. Tell me if this person has worked with any of these people before. The kind of stuff that I used to have to do on my laptop on a Saturday to get ahead, I can now do have a saved, prompt to do it. I think I read somewhere that if someone's going to buy something, I think it's like over $3,000, they will not buy it without talking to someone, generally speaking. Are people buying cars online now? Sure. But that's still definitely the minority. So you've done
all the research is the point though, to that though. Even if you did online and went through, you could be talking to somebody, but anyway, you're doing all of the research. And a lot of people are doing that before they come to us. So that's where you want to have your information really quickly. And that's what AI provides versus, and I'll say this. So here I have written a book, but really reading technology stuff, not fun. Right? I don't want to read all about the industry and all the get me the Cliff Notes. And for anybody out there who's young, they used to be a yellow book and the whole book was in 30 pages. So so get me the condensed version to get me there. And that's what AI is. Just like you said, let's get to the sale faster.
Yeah. And AI is even changing the way that people buy, because we had something at our company where I was typing in, hey, what's the best software for this, and the company I work for wasn't showing up. And I was like, okay, well, what, like naming what about this? And then now, we got a chief AI officer. We're now doing ads. We're making sure that we're in GEO, which is the new SEO, right? Like generative, whatever optimization. So like people come in, and back to what we were saying about how selling is qualifying, it's easier than ever because people are coming correct with their research. They know who the competitors are. They know what they're looking for. They've watched a YouTube video demo that you didn't even know was out there about your company, right? So I think that that's also helpful too. What do you know about us? I'm not going to sit here and have a monologue that my manager is going to, come at me for, because it was like your talk time was 64% in Gong, right? So you tell me what research you've done and what gaps I can fill for you.
Yes, love it. And I think
you said
it's
something really awesome.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I was just going to say,
ahead.
I think it's really awesome when it comes down to, that's how you build the, again, back to where we started the conversation, saying you build those relationships by being able to ask more questions. So again, if they're even coming to you with all of this knowledge, to really dig into, where do I even fit in this? I don't have to sell you anything, because am I going to be, you just need 3 quotes? Like, what's happening here? And to really get more information and let them talk a little bit more to find out what their true need is.
Wow. So Kelly, I'm assuming you said after college, then you got into tech sales. So when you first started in tech sales, did you always want to move up into leadership, or did that kind of develop over time?
So it developed. I wanted to go the route of the sales rep. That's what I thought I was going to do. And as soon as email came in, I saw it as a perfect storm. All of a sudden, I was like, I'm watching the price of these products start to drop dramatically, and people not having to go on site. So I'm watching sales reps around me be in the office more. I'm going, this might be a great time to really build out what a true SDR, BDR is. And started working with some companies, ways to get more people to come to us. So started doing webinars back in the day. I was working with AT&T, and we would actually do these webinars, record them on tape cassette, and send them out to people afterwards. But we were getting hundreds of people. People really wanted to, okay, let me not see the salesperson yet. And then, so people around me were saying, well, can you teach me how to do that? Can you teach me? And I was loving it. And I thought, I actually now want to continue and grow teams of people that do this. And that's why I stuck with that, is really, I wanted to see other people. I was so fortunate to have the opportunity. My company ended up the first company I was at, was purchased by a much larger company, and then the execs went off to Austin, Texas, started at a startup, and invited me to go out from the East Coast. I had never been anywhere. I thought, whoa, really? And it was a great opportunity, and I moved out there and got into the startup world, and continued to build teams. And so I really loved it. It was truly a passion of mine. So that's what I was doing. And then even had different times where I was doing consulting with other companies, building out their SDR team. So even training managers on how to manage within this space.
Wow. So a true
I love
passion
that.
for coaching. So if you had maybe, like, say a family friend asked you, like, we have a kid that wants to get into sales, they're looking into tech sales, what advice would you give them to break in as a BDR or SDR somewhere?
Well, so from the very beginning that you're looking to break in, when you find that company that you want to go after, here's how you stand out. You show them your passion for it. You send emails to them of, beyond just the talking face to face in the interview. You follow up with an email. You let them know, here's the information. Don't tell me one line off my website of what my company does. Again, with AI, I know you know how to use it. Go and get me some nuggets. Tell me about me, what you've learned. Show me that you put any amount of time into this. That's how you separate yourself today. So you want this. You're hungrier than other people. You can also build a presentation really fast with AI today. Throw a couple slides together. What are you going to do in a 30, 60, 90 day to learn and be the top rep? You want me to know that you're going to want to be in sales, you're hungry, and you're going to be, you know, doing everything you can to be their number one rep. So once they know that, and you've shown them, you've told them, you've emailed, you know, all of those things, then it's working really hard. And people are like, wait, I just thought you said sales was good and you just talk to people, and when you come in and you're doing this, you're going to have to work really hard because you have no special sauce yet. You know,
No equity, you have no reputation.
nothing. But you are excited, so find those top people. Find out what they do. Attach yourself to them and take nuggets from all the top people that you meet to create your own special sauce so you are ready to be that top person. Don't feel bad around others that come in that are brand new, that aren't working as hard as you and not making it. You can be their friends. You can go out after work, but you're going to take away from them any spiff money that's out there. You're going to take away any prize. You're not going to leave money on the table now, are we? No. We're not going to forget that it's there and ask at the last day of the quarter, like, what was that spiff again? No, we're going to have it in front of us, and we're going to make sure we're crushing it. So everybody knows your name. So when it's time to get promoted, they're pulling your name out because they know you've attached yourself to everybody, listened, and done everything that we're saying to do with the prospect. You're going to do with the people in your office, whether you're in person or virtual. You're going to set up extra meetings. You're going to have them top people. We say, you know, I tell people all the time, okay, so ideally you want to get to the CISO. So what's stopping you from calling them? A lot of times you're going to get to the CISO, you're not going to get them on the phone, you're going to get that gatekeeper, but then you're going to say, who within so-and-so's organization should I speak with? Now you go to the person and you say, this office said that we should talk, and they're like, why did my CISO say we should talk? It's the same thing. Find out who take your boss's boss, get your name out there. What meetings are they going to be in? Ask questions in those meetings. That's what you need to do.
Wow. You just answered my next 10 questions.
There's so much good there. And I had a feeling that was going to be the answer too, because this happened to me, and it sounds like it happened to you, where you were doing a job, you were doing phenomenally well. You saw an opportunity to be helpful. So you kicked off a project, and the project became your career.
Correct.
You know, you weren't saying you tell me what I need to do to be promoted. You were saying, what can I do to deliver value for myself and other people? And I'm going to do that. God loves a joyful giver, right? I'm going to do this because I want to be helpful. I want to be of service. And because I want my name on the top of the fucking leaderboard, right?
Yes,
and I want to be
always.
on me. And I want people to want me. I want people to want me to work for them. You got plucked. I've been plucked. You know, I'm working with people now at the company that I'm with today that I worked with 12 years ago, you know, and I made myself an obvious choice. I think if I had one tagline, it's like the cream rises to the top. The person who's interviewing you wants almost more than you do for you to be the person.
Yep.
They want to fill the role yesterday. They want you. They're not looking for reasons not to hire you. They want you to be perfect. So when I'm interviewing someone, I want a couple of questions answered. So I'd love to hear for you, Kelly, kind of what your top 3, go, no go questions are when you're interviewing someone. If someone I say, what questions do you have for me? Nothing. This was so great. No. Terrible, horrible, no good, very bad interviewee. I also, why Trustpilot? Why Service Titan? Why Foley? Why do you want to work here? Because the person that's interviewing you, a lot of our personality as people is where we work. You know, it's I'm a Yankees fan and I work at Foley. That's who I am. I'm from New Jersey. We have a couple of things that I think make us feel like who we are. And if the person's working at that company, you want to make them feel good about their decision to work there.
Absolutely.
Right? So you want to sell them on that. And then also my favorite question that I like to ask as an interviewee is, who is your top rep? If you could take one person on your team and clone them and have a team of Davids or a team of Kellys, why? What is it about them that you want to replicate? And is there anything on your team that you're missing today?
Absolutely.
Because guess what? No matter what they say, you have.
Correct.
Right? So I think I've said this before, your interview is your first sale.
Yeah,
Prospect well,
it is.
do your outreach, create opportunities, and qualify. You're interviewing them just as much as they're interviewing you. You know, I'm a little bit on the older side too, where it was like the first job I got offered, I took it and I said thank you, and I did not think
Yeah,
twice.
exactly.
There's a lot to say for that.
Yeah.
But I think, you know, people are a little softer these days too. So it's like, hey, if something that was important to me later in life was I wanted to report to someone who also had children. So I had just like a couple little things that I was looking for. When you're 19, you don't get to have as much of an opinion. But if you're someone
Correct.
that's my age and you're like, listen, I've been in event planning for 15 years and I think I want to make more money. I'm a single mom now. I need to make more money. I'm going to get into sales.
Yeah.
You know, you can pivot and you can lean on the experience that you have in the
Correct.
past, and you can be a little bit more confident, right? So, yeah, what are those questions for you, Kelly?
Yeah.
Like, what, if
So
someone was practicing?
so in a couple things that I think are really important. If you're in an interview and the interview is 45 minutes and the person you're talking to is wrapping it up early, you better stop and just correct yourself. They're getting off the phone because you're not it. And usually, and you can save that because again, if you have enough, questions there, but like you said, it would be shocking if the person didn't take the full 45 minutes if they were fully prepared, right? So, but now this is just a little hint for everybody out there watching. If somebody does try to stop that, pull some questions out that you don't have wrote down because they are telling you you did not prepare for this role. So that's just a note. What I like to ask, one of my favorite questions is, would you rather be the best player on a losing team or the worst player on a winning team, and why? What you got for me, David? So the best player on a losing team or the worst player on a winning team?
I think I'd rather be the worst player on the winning team, just because, and especially like since I'm early in my sales career and I feel like I have a lot of room to grow. That's the best way to grow. The people that you surround yourself with are, what's going to make you you. And if I'm the worst player that first season, I guarantee you, with how hard I work, I ain't going to be the worst player by the end of the season. It's never happened. So I'm going to learn. And just like you said, when you were I don't know if it was you or Maddie, but you said, like, follow those top reps and take nuggets from each of them. I'm going to do the same thing. Even like I did it in sports as well. So
Yeah.
I would definitely rather be the worst player on the winning team, especially now.
That's what I go with. So I love that because that's showing too, as far as team play, you want to take those around you and learn from them. If somebody's new to their career and they're saying they'd rather be the best player on the losing team, and their reason is because they just want to be the best at everything, you don't just walk into this and be the best. So you're missing a whole piece. Well, then what do you have to learn? So are you telling me you're coming in already as, again, where we talked about now in 3 months? Are you saying I got to move on because I've learned everything I need to know in this role? And that's why I like that question. And that's why because that also tells me how they're going to work with their team. Because again, I want to beat everybody sitting around me, and they'll know it too, but not at the detriment of my team either.
Yeah.
Because there's something there, especially today where we are hybrid and some don't even work. And you want your team. You still need a team. You still need to feel that connection. I also think it's important because again, as you're building trust and you're building these relationships, they talk about it a lot. People aren't getting the job by applying on LinkedIn to all the open positions. People are bringing you along. You're getting recommended.
Yep.
And so that's what you want to get to, that you never have to send your resume in to a blind audition. You want the calling you like, hey, ever think about changing? You happy over there? So anyway, those are the things that I look at. And then the other ones I really want to know, even though a lot of times people are new in their career, tell me what they've done, whether it's through school, their summers off, what did they do? any job that they've had. Tell me about it, their toughest day. I want to dig into a little bit about how they thought about it, why they chose that job, what did they want it to lead them to, and so hearing more about that, because that says who they are as well. It doesn't have to be obviously in technology. You're starting off, but make me feel the passion of whatever it was that you did.
Yeah. And I would say even so simply, like we used to have this all the time because I never did a video chat early in my career. I dialed the phone with my little pointer finger. And we used to just say, I don't know, he just sounds really good on the phone. I don't know, she just sounds really good on the phone. And it's like she could be talking about, Bravo TV. It didn't matter. But I think that your interview also is you just showing how you sound, how you talk, how you think about yourself, how you talk about yourself. Like I've said this before on other episodes too, you're your own product. And if you're not comfortable selling yourself, you're sure as shit not going to be comfortable selling something that you don't know anything about. Right? So you need to tell them why you're the obvious choice and why you are confident that anything that you don't know, you will learn. So I say have a couple of catchphrases. I'm very confident that I can learn complicated things quickly. And I know that because I was a camp counselor and I had to learn how to use Excel to do the schedule or whatever it is, right? So tell them why you have a skill and give them a memorable story that proves that you have the skill that you have.
That's great.
And I think that's a really, really big one. And then I also think leverage your network, right? Because there's especially with AI, we have bots applying to jobs and whatever. Like when I was a waitress in college, I said, I'm not worried. I'm very into positive thinking, manifestation. I said, I'm not worried about getting a job because I know someone who knows someone who needs someone just like me. Yeah. And I said that every day. I know someone who knows someone who needs someone just like me. And then what happened? Someone that I played beer pong with in high school knew someone who needed someone just like me. I was a bartender. I said, hey, I need someone to make 150 cold calls a day to restaurants. Sure. I'll call restaurants. I'll call restaurant owners. Sure.
Wow.
Of course. And look at that's a bartender. Talk about a sales job.
Oh, big time. Big time. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. And now I was talking to David too. I was like, the next episode is going to be about work hard, play hard, and being an alcoholic in sales. So that'll be another one where I'm like, I would much rather sell DOT compliance than switchback amber ale. It's definitely been a good pivot for me. But yeah, I think that interviewing can be really, really scary. But guess what's even scarier? Showing up to a meeting and realizing they have 5 people on the meeting and you thought it was going to be one entry-level person that you were pitching. Yeah. Right. So I think tough. A lot of it is just building up that's what I heard at the beginning of your career, Kelly. You're like, I know this is going to be hard, so let me get the hard out of the way. Correct. And that was my thing too when I started out. Don't quit. They can fire me, but I'm not going to quit. I'm just going to keep coming back. Time's going to go by anyway. Yep.
And if you just continue to discard, that's actually coming back up a lot now too, with how many jobs people have had. So you don't want to start doing the career missteps, especially when you're just getting into this. Give it a shot. And here's something that's really important. You don't have to, because you're having a bad day, a bad week, a bad month, a bad quarter, think that it's all gone. Those are the learning. I think when we were prepping for this, we talked about, look at your information every week. I do what's working, what's not, so I can change it. So you don't want it to become a pattern, a habit. You can change things really quickly. And so that's really important. You can reinvent all of it. And as a matter of fact, I will tell you that most successful salespeople I know have that story. I was terrible. I should never even have gotten
I got demoted.
See, there you go. It was awful. It was horrific when I even started. So I tell these stories, but when I was not winning when I entered with people all my age I was so excited. I was like, when I get on the phone with somebody, they're like, I don't even know what she said. And so half the time they were just hanging up. And so I had to learn, stop. I may be excited to talk to you, but really? Like, enough. Anyway, so that's the point. Like, it's okay. Fail again, fail again. Like, I still do it and want to reinvent. But it doesn't go all the way back to the bottom. You might just, a failure now might just be like a notch down, then you're like, let me get back up. Oh, I forgot that. Let me reinvent a little bit.
It's such
And
a
it's good for
metaphor
you.
for life.
Yeah. Oh my
It really
gosh.
is. You know,
Absolutely.
yeah, my therapist says I have all or nothing syndrome. So it's like, I think that sales, especially a monthly quota, felt very comfortable for me because I was used to being like, well, what have you done for me lately, Maddie? Where it's like, oh, it's great that you were the top rep last month, but no one fucking cares.
Right.
And it just that's like how I live my life anyway. So I think it just felt normal.
Yeah.
There's a trap you can fall into on the other side where if you're very successful at the beginning by accident, we talked about this with Alex, and not that Alex his successes are all he's an extremely talented salesperson. But he on his first cold call booked a meeting, his first deal closed, right? So he kind of didn't have that perseverance. So you almost kind of want it to suck a little bit at the beginning because then you do have the confidence to say like, I can get through, hard times and they're not forever. It's
Correct.
another favorite phrase of mine. Whether today is the best day of your life or the worst day of your life, it's going to be over.
Yeah,
So-
absolutely. New day coming for you. And I just, no matter what, we've talked about how technology has all changed and things go back, but things are coming at us so fast that if you just think that it's going to always be the same anyway, no. The phone's still there for me, but how I get them to talk to me now is different. So, where it used to be the feature benefit, they just wanted to know that. Now, because they have all of that before they call you, it's finding the pain. That's what's different. So you're always having to learn and really think about, what's going to have that edge for me over everybody else anyway. So you want to stay at the top of your game and look at, okay, well, I did this okay, but how do I make it something that's really great now? So yeah, as soon as you get comfortable, it's going to change. So you can't get that comfortable ever in this role.
Yeah. And David, I have a similar question for you than we talked about in prep. Like you as someone who's starting out, you said, you're iterating a little bit on what you're doing. How often are you looking at what you're doing and making changes? What stats do you even look at, if any? Like, how do you know what's working and what, if anything, you want to change or need to change?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm fortunate enough to have a really good boss, and right now in my current role, I'm the only BDR. We have one BDR and two full cycle reps, so they're kind of doing a little bit of what I'm doing. So if I'm not giving myself my own feedback, which I'm pretty hard on myself, I'm getting it from he listens to pretty much all my calls because he doesn't have many other calls to listen to. So I'm getting feedback pretty regularly to change things up, and luckily also my boss isn't like a dictator. He's not like, oh, you have to do it this way. We could talk about it, spitball, come up with different ideas together, which I like. But I would say, since I'm a BDR, I would definitely look at it a little bit on a daily basis, but obviously, one day could go by and you could just book 0 meetings, right? Even if your average is 3, chances are there's gonna be a day where you book 0, right? So I wouldn't be too hard on myself for one day, but if a week goes by and it's dramatically different than the other weeks, okay, what was different about that week? What who was I prospecting to that week? Was it different job titles? Was it different, a different source and stuff like that? So I would say maybe a little bit more on a weekly basis and monthly basis. But yeah.
Yeah, I like knowing kind of where your average is, right? And I used to always say, you tell me what good looks like so I know how to be great. I literally had a meeting with my boss recently where I have a sticky note on my computer here that says $1.03 million. This is what I have to sell this year.
That's
and
cool.
It's actually, I forgot, this is 115% of my quota because that's when I get my retroactive accelerator. So if you ask me, what's your quota? My quota, you can actually be proud of yourself number is $1.03 million because I've been staring at this on my computer for months.
It's awesome.
So he was like, no, your quota is actually 800. And I was like, la, 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 no, 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 no. not. No, it's not.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think a lot of it is just setting goals for yourself, knowing what good looks like, and then
Yeah.
knowing in your heart that you can be better. And
Correct.
there are, at the same time, there are going to be reps out there that hit 80% every month, and you are a good soldier. You
Yeah.
know, like there are going to be people out there that like just be consistent. You'll have one month where you pop and you do really well. You'll have one month maybe where you don't do well, but you're good enough.
Yeah.
And that is good enough, right? But
Yep.
then there are going to be some other people where it's like, at my age, I don't necessarily need to be number one on the leaderboard. Like I want to be, obviously. Um, but I really ultimately just want to not have anxiety. Like I have a 3-year-old. I'm
It
married.
happens.
I have a
Oh my God.
mortgage.
Tell
You
me.
know what I mean? It's about to be 115 degrees in Arizona. I just want to be able to close my laptop at the end of the day and say I wouldn't have done anything differently. And I think that like God gives us our conscience for a reason. Only
Yeah.
you know if you're working hard enough
Yep.
to feel good about what you did. And that's where the balance comes in. When I was young, I told David this, I would throw up, Kelly, in the garbage can on the subway platform because I was so anxious before I
Yeah.
would get to work because I just wanted to not get fired. I was so
Got
scared.
it.
And it was like, my boss was like, you're crazy. You're number one every month. And I'm like, yeah, but
Yeah.
so it's like, how do you, and I know we're coming up on time as well. I have all the time in the world for you, Kelly, because you're amazing. But like, how do you tell someone that's 20 years old you're okay without them losing their edge? Because like I
Yeah.
worked on that in therapy, to be honest, of like,
I was just
like
gonna say, I'm
I'm
not sure
very
if I'm
good with
qualified
myself
for
and
that.
it served me well. We are not licensed therapists. Everything said on this podcast is our own opinion. This is not medical advice.
And let's just say that's one of those things that if I'm saying I need to make sure I'm doing it for myself, and probably I'm not. So it's tough. I mean, this is again, when you're in a career that they're showing a leaderboard and you're looking at numbers and there's dollars to be made, you can gosh get yourself really worked up. But I think it's important what you showed. You had your post-it. I think, you have to have your goals, write them down, but they're not pie in the sky. Now, okay, we've got our goal. Let's back up. And so I always say start at the end. So if we have monthly goals, okay, so here's my monthly goal, and let's back out. What do I need to do weekly? What do I need to do daily? That's what I need to focus on. So as long as I'm doing those things for myself, this is what I expect. Now, if I'm not getting to the number that I want, again, that's where I review what's working, what's not. But keeping my eye on, I'm doing this, and this, which will get me my outcome. Now, I can say, without doing this is the misstep that I see for a lot of people. These roles, it's the same thing. I say every quarter, what quarter is this to my team? It's the most important quarter of the year. Okay? Because that's what it is. It starts again. When I'm saying that, if you take your foot off the gas, I promise that it's like 4 months down the road, you're going to hit the wall. So you have to be consistent in this role too. So again, there's going to be, things that are seasonal. There's going to be all kinds of things that knock us off to not get to there, but we have to be putting in the same effort. So that's what it is. Put those goals down, eye on the prize, and when you're spiraling, go back to what have you done? Have I missed anything? Okay, no, good. I'm just not at where I need to be yet, but I will be. And that's all you can do.
I love that like moment. Like we all spiral. We all have our Sunday scaries. We all wake up in the morning with a little bit of tummy ache sometimes. But I think I've gotten to a point in my career where I'm so grateful that sales is a numbers game. Because
Yeah.
even if you don't have it in the morning, you can still make the dials. And you
Correct.
never know. Someone might change your mood on that third call because they're also a, Knicks fan. Like you never know.
Yes.
So I think that just, one of my first bosses ever said hard work beats talent when talent fails to work hard.
Yeah.
But there's also something to be said for the playbook, and I'm hopeful that we'll have one of the best sales leaders I've ever worked for. I can't say worked with anymore because you're one of the best, Kelly, now as well, even though I've never reported to you. But he was excellent at understanding the funnel Exactly like you said, Kelly, reverse engineering it. So what's your quota? What's our average deal size? Therefore, how many deals do I need to close this month? What's our conversion rate from discovery call to opportunity? How many discovery calls do I need to run? And how many cold calls do I need to make to schedule those meetings? Not a lot of moving parts.
Correct.
Right? So you can know beyond the shadow of a doubt. And sometimes it can be a little bit of like not a fuck you, because we want to be respectful, perfect employees, but it's like, you told me if I did this and did it well, I would hit my goal. And that's where a really great rep can separate themselves too and say, hey, we've seen a little bit of a drop, right? Where the things that were working maybe aren't working anymore. I figured out a way that has worked for me. I would love to teach the team. Whew, you're getting promoted to manager if you do something like that.
I'm telling you, look at that. I'm gonna promote you right now.
But I think there's the art and the science, and you got to just know yourself. Are you an artist?
Right.
Are you the talker? Are you the I'll email anyone? Are you the I'll go to the back door in the middle of dinner and he might throw lasagna at me? Or are you the master where you're like, I built a bot using vibe coding that does all of my prospect. And when I come in the morning, I have my hit list and I have done this. Like, there's a lot of different ways to be excellent. But I think there's no substitute for hard work. And then what I love that you said, Kelly, is there's no substitute for the passing of time. We cannot manufacture experience in this life. No matter how much you read, no matter how much you talk to ChatGPT, no matter how good of a salesperson your dad was, we all need to kind of build our own reputations. And I think that's something that, David, I think you are an exceptional person. I'm doing this with you for a reason. I've wanted to do a podcast since podcasts came out, and I never did. And David was the only one that was like, well, let's just do it this Friday. And I was like, shit, okay, let's just do it this Friday. Awesome. You got to just start and don't quit. And everything else will kind of take care of itself.
Absolutely.
As long as the anxiety doesn't get you, and you can take a breath every once in a while.
It's good to be a little scared always. It's scary.
Yes.
It's the only career out there that if you want a promotion, you want to make more money, it's in your hands, nobody else's. There's a way you can go and do it. And then again, with all the tools in the world that we're in, you really have an opportunity. There's a runway here. So if you're thinking about it, I'd just go for it. Yeah. What do you got to lose?
I tell people all the time, like, if you sound good on the phone when you book my wax at European Wax Center, you're about to hear about tech sales, girl. You're about to hear about it. The guy at the weed store. Hey, have you ever thought about selling the point of sale system that is in the dispensary?
That is great.
What do you love? Sell it.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I do actually have one last question for you guys before I let you guys go. I know we're coming up on time here, but
perfect.
To kind of reverse the question you guys were asking before about some of the questions you liked asking people you were interviewing, what's kind of a couple, and this goes for both of you, what's a couple of the best questions you've ever gotten? Or what's a couple questions you would recommend someone ask in an interview?
For me, I just love it when they ask, how did you get to your position? Because that tells me they're already thinking ahead a few levels. And they're investing in me. They want to hear about me. And I mean, it's the same as an end user, right? When you're calling on the phone, everybody wants to talk about themselves. But I like it that they're invested. They want to know, how do I get your job? I like that.
Wow.
It's a really, really good one. I would say in a similar vein, what's keeping you at this company?
That's great.
If the person that's interviewing you, you should probably know how long they've been there, because if they've been there for 6 weeks, you're like, I don't know, and you're going to look like an idiot. So do your research. And then close the goddamn interview. Yeah. Is there any reason that you would not recommend me for this job? And give yourself the 5 minutes to objection handle.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
Or answer questions. If you're asking them at 2:59 and they definitely have another interview at 3:00, and you can separate yourself by doing an upfront agenda and saying, hey, obviously I'm here to answer all of your questions. I want to make sure that we have 5 minutes at the end that I can circle back and fill in any gaps that we have, because my goal is to leave this 30-minute conversation with you and have you cancel all the interviews that you have after this.
It's
right?
awesome.
Like I want to make myself the obvious choice. So I would say close the interview, ask them if there is any reason they wouldn't recommend you, and be ready to objection handle. The last thing I'll say is if it's your first sales job ever, have those stories. I'm good at this. I can prove it to you because I did this in this situation. If this is a promotion or you're interviewing for a different sales job in a different vertical or something like that, know your numbers. It might not come up. Know the biggest deal you've ever closed, your average deal size, the most phone calls you've made in a day. Like just knowing kind of your numbers backwards and forwards. I think that's the art and the science, right? Show that you know the science, you understand the metrics, and then the art is the storytelling, because that's going to be more memorable. At the end of the day, they're not going to go in and say, hey, they knew their numbers. They're going to say, I know they can do this job.
Correct. And that's what you want the hiring manager to really feel that, because they're on the line too when they're hiring people.
Yep.
And then
Strong,
like with
yes.
prospects, I always have, in my day, I used to call it the James Brown singer. He would be on stage singing, "Brr," and then he would slide off stage and then he'd come back. And then he would do that like 20 times. Now for anybody, I'd say more like the Britney Spears, "Hit Me Baby One More Time." One more question. So even if you have the meeting before you go, so then you know what? I know we're done and we're out of time. I just have one more question for you. And that's whatever it is. So if it's the hiring manager, it might be, if I was to come in and you were to hire me tomorrow, what's going to have me separate from even those that have been here a year or more? Whatever it is, have one question, just like I would with the prospect. So I already have the meeting and it's, one more question. When we get on this call, at the end of it, what are the top 3 things that if we hit those, you're going to say, okay, I probably am going to want one more meeting. What are those 3 things? So I make sure we hit those for you. Anything like that. Again, just keep them one more second. And sometimes that ends up turning into 5 more minutes, 10 more minutes. I've had it turn into longer and you even get more discovery.
Yeah, I mean, that's like the perfect contrast too, where it's like if someone's wrapping up the interview early, you better call it out. I've said this before. If you think it, say it. Hey, so it seems like maybe this isn't going as well as I had hoped. Can we take a breath? Like I really, really want this opportunity, right? Yes. But if you have an interview where you're like, hey, so I know that we're at time, we're like, oh no, we can stay on. I'm like, oh, I got this fucking job.
Exactly.
Yes, or like I've said, if a prospect turns their camera on in the middle of the meeting, like, oh, the dopamine. So yeah, I think a lot of what I'm hearing, and I talk about this a lot, Kelly, is just like how you talk to yourself is really important. You said something so incredibly meaningful when we were prepping for this, where it's like, how would you treat yourself if you were responsible for taking care of yourself as if you were like a baby? Like, what would that look like for you? And it's the balance. You don't want to treat yourself with kid gloves. You want to tell yourself, you can do this. You can do hard things. I believe in you. And look at the data, so remind yourself, I was really nervous on the first day of middle school. And I walked in and I sat, this is a true story. I had no friends. My friends kicked me out of the group and I had no one to sit with. My first day of 7th grade, I got a Carrie Strug haircut. I shouldn't have done it. Okay. And I wasn't allowed to sit with the cool kids anymore. But I ended up meeting my best friend ever. I walked in and I said, hey, can I sit with you? And amazing. That was the number one hardest question I've ever asked. So literally walking into an opportunity in British Columbia, I was about to pitch for over $10 million. And I was like, if you can go and, sit down next to Caitlin in middle school, you can walk in and you can pitch. So it's like, nothing is going to compare to walking into the cafeteria on day 1 of middle school.
No way.
So whether that's a team that you made, a part that you got in a play, someone that you got to go out on a date with you, like think of remember your wins and prime yourself before you apply, prime yourself before you interview too, and just get in that space of like, I can do this.
And did you guys? Yeah. Sorry, I was going to ask when you had maybe a really great candidate that was closing an interview, and you maybe didn't even have an objection to hiring them, did you guys ever just test them just to see how they would handle an objection and give them the objection anyway?
Oh yeah, no, I there's something to that whole. I'll be honest, that sell me a pen. I'm not saying I do that one, but let's pretend that I get you on the phone right now. They're gonna butcher it, but I want to see how they act on their feet And if they're able to tell me something back, I'll do that. And again, it's not the outcome. They don't have to do a good job. I just want to know that they're going to turn this around. They're going to think about it for a minute and be like, okay, all right. And, just what's that process happening in their head? And they're nervous, but we're all going to be nervous, right? They're going to have that real day coming up for me. But I did that. I had a really big opportunity back in the 90s. Nope. Early 90s. And I got asked to sell the pen. And I butchered it. And I'll never forget it. For me, it was just keep going. So know that even if you're messing up, here's the process. Go back through what the process is, and here's how I thought about it. And you can say, I know I didn't do great on that, but here's what I was thinking that I wanted to get to. If you give me a chance, I'd learn a little bit more about this, this, and this, and that's what you just showed me. Again, put it back on them.
Yeah, I think the self-awareness is key. So I like when someone has constructive criticism, because a lot of times when you get past that first recruiter call or like the first 30 minutes, is this person even, articulate, and are they crazy? You're probably going to have to do a mock pitch or a mock cold call or something like that. And then after, the first thing a good hiring manager is going to say is, how do you think that went?
Right.
And they want to hear you being thoughtful. Don't beat yourself up. But be thoughtful. So I like when someone closes an interview, I say, well, what do you think?
I love that too.
If you were me, would you hire you? You know what I mean? How do you think? Is there anything that you said
That's
that
awesome.
you want to double click into? If you could go back and start this interview over, would you change anything? Like just showing like a little bit of critical thinking.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times, like the deeper we get into sales, the more we can potentially get on autopilot. And we just like don't even, it's like that scene in Old School where you're like, I blacked out. Was it good? And someone's like, you sounded amazing. I'm like, I don't even know what I said, honestly. Like,
yeah, you were in the hospital last night.
yeah. Like, I still closed it though, right? Like, yeah, it's, I think just, having that mindfulness and like just knowing that like the only moment you have is right now. Let's listen. Let's be in the moment. Let's have a normal human conversation. And be okay with the uncomfortable silence. Like, David, I loved when Kelly asked you, would you rather be the winner or the loser on the teams? You thought about it for a second.
Yep.
You didn't think, oh, I know the answer she wants. Let me say it right now. Really, you actually looked up and you thought about it for a second.
That's exactly
whatever you said after, that was the moment where I was like, this guy actually cares.
Yeah. So, Kelly, one last question.
Yeah.
Is cold calling dead?
No, it's very much alive. You know what's dead? The skill set of cold calling. So when people don't have a skill set, they say it's dead because that's easier, right? When we're uncomfortable, it's hard to learn new things for all of us because you don't want to feel vulnerable. So instead of learning something new, people will most likely tell you it's dead. It doesn't work. I tried it. How many times you try it? Twice. Oh, good. So that's probably the answer. So that's what it's all about that. You have to do it until a point, I would say to anybody, till it works even one time and then figure out what you did different at that point.
Yes.
But it's not dead. It's very much alive for those who have a skill set in it. You get a skill set in it by trying. Don't give up. Don't do 5 calls in a day. That's not the skill set. This is 100, 200 auto dialer. I'm saying if you have an auto dialer, those are the things that's going to separate you. But even manually, I always said, and I always did it myself, before I left for the day, I would even do 5 more calls. That was manual. Now I have an auto dialer. I could do 50 more calls right then in 20 minutes, no problem. But I didn't leave until I did that. That was my thing every day. It's, if you watch basketball, Steph Curry would not leave the court in practice until he swished, 5 in a row. That was it. So you have to put yourself in a place that you're challenging yourself to get there. Don't just give up just because you got to a certain point in the day. Give yourself 10 minutes, 15 minutes. I promise that's the time that people are going to recognize your extra work as well. And I promise those are usually at the end of the day, or maybe if it's at the beginning of the day when other people aren't there and aren't calling, that again, you're going to get to the person you want. And all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, that worked. I got one more meeting today or what have you. So do not stop. Just, I can't stand a key rattler. That might be my Jen. X coming out.
Trapper keepers remain open until the end of class. Yeah.
That's right.
Yep.
Love the trapper keeper. But anyway, so that's it. Challenge yourself to do, 3 to 5 more things at the end of your day before you just call it.
I love that. And
Yeah.
if anyone's like me out there, I feel like I'll say that at 5, and maybe it's also because I'm working from home, but all of a sudden it'll be like 6 or 6:30 and I'm still dialing. But then, like you said, I put up that extra meeting. Now the CEO is messaging me or shouting me out in the group chat saying, Dave just booked another meeting at 6 o'clock. Like, love the effort, stuff like that. So it really does get you noticed, and it could snowball once you do a few more calls and get a couple more connects. You start feeling better.
Yeah. And like, I feel like we're just going to, this is like when I try to hang up with my mom, like for 45 minutes and we're like, oh my God, wait, one more thing. But I think that when you have the energy and life is going well and you're feeling good, put in the extra effort, because there's going to come a time when you need to take emergency PTO or your mom needs something or whatever. Life happens. So
Correct.
when you have nothing standing in your way, fucking sprint.
Yeah.
Go. Because then you have the reputation where now I'm at a point in my career where my manager will say, oh, you need to take your daughter to the doctor? No problem. I trust you. You have a track record. You are I know when you're in your seat, you're putting in the work. I never doubt you. So you get a little bit of grace. So I think that especially when you're 22 years old living with your parents, you don't have a lot of reasons not to put in some more time. It will pay off and give you more space to live your life in the future. But you can't have one without the other.
And I think the momentum, right? When you're having a great day, keep going, because you know what? When you talked about manifestation, whenever a rep tells me they're having their best day, they're like, boom, boom, boom. It just keeps going. Because you're doing the mirror image, right? So when you're having those days, take advantage. Just go.
Yeah, rising tide lifts all ships. The more people that have a happy day, like it's just like it's like that story where Roger Bannister was the one that broke the 4-minute mile, right? No, it was like it's physically impossible, and then this motherfucker does it, and then I think 20,000 people have done it since then. Why?
Yes,
Because of
impossible.
Right.
Yeah. Now I need to cold call more tomorrow. I literally told my daughter yesterday, Mom's got to get on the phone. I took a vacation. My numbers are not where they need to be. So
you're like, if you want to get back there to Moana again, we need
exactly right.
to sell some stuff.
Mom needs to close a bunch more deals to be able to go to any sort of Disney anywhere. But I used to yell, Louis Vuitton doesn't go on sale. Dave wants to make a video. I should make a little video about that. But whatever motivates you, I have a girl that I was helping close deals. She wants to retire her parents. She says she wants to buy her parents a house. That's her goal.
I love it.
So like, and
that's
again,
not cheap these days.
Oh yeah, that's super.
But like that's her goal, and she's like, there's no reason why I can't achieve it, and I'm gonna come in, and when I don't want to work, I'm going to remind myself, that this is my ultimate goal. And it can be financial, it can be competitive, it can be, you just like feeling challenged, like whatever it is, but it's a metaphor for life. If you're not trying to be better, if you don't have goals, if you don't see that tomorrow is going to be better than today, sales probably isn't for you.
Correct.
Like you need to be a positive, optimistic person. You can be a critical thinker. It's very good to be skeptical and overqualify your deals. But you have to know that tomorrow's going to be better, that tomorrow can be better, that my best days are ahead of me and not behind me. And that's why I feel like sales makes us feel young. Right, Ava? Yes.
Yes.
A 3-year-old said yes. And ending on that. That was my mic drop.
Too.
That was my mic drop.
Oh my God, that's too funny.
Well, I really appreciate it. It's been amazing talking to both of you. It's one
we'll
of my
have to have you
topics.
back.
I would love to come back. So anytime, please. Thank you so much.
When I finally write my book, we'll come back and celebrate.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'll hit you up offline about that.
I can't wait. Please do.
So exceptional. So many things I think everyone could learn. David, thank you so much for setting this up. Like
thank you so much, Kelly, for coming on.
You bet. And Absolute Gangster signing off.
Yes.
Yes. Best cold outreach you've ever done, getting Kelly, David. Great job. All right.